Hello and welcome. My name is Kelsey Ross. I'm here with fellow product manager Frank Lee, and today we're going to talk about continuous improvement and analysis with Process HQ. But before we get started, I want to talk about that issue that is near and dear to all of our hearts, on the front of all our mind. That's right, tax day. What we normally start these presentations off with is something called an attention step. It's supposed to grab your attention and keep you here and with us throughout the rest of the presentation. But if you've noticed, what I have risked here is a lose your attention step for those of you who are just realizing that tax day was in fact yesterday and will be using the remainder time to file for an extension. But stay with me, I have a point, I promise. So why would I risk it all by bringing up this pretty arduous process that we're all familiar with, comes around the same time every year, which is tax day? Well, because it represents a process that we're all quite familiar with, right? The inputs might be different depending on who you are, what your situation is, whether you have dependents like a dog, whether you have certain additional assets that you want to invest in. There's a lot of variation to it, but the general process stays the same. So I want to take a trip down memory lane to talk about what this process looked like when I was filing for my first summer job. I had no experience, obviously, and it was not something that they taught me in public school. So I looked to my elders, to those around me, to give me guidance on how I should file my taxes. And they said, oh, well, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it right. So we're going to do it by hand. So I got my W-2 from my employer. I went to the government website. I downloaded my 1040. I printed it out about 10 times because penmanship was not so great. And then I would look through the 1040 and it would say, okay, go to box section A, what is this number? And I would copy over the number. And then I did that about 1,000 times. There was an algorithm that ran that told me whether or not I was getting money back or sending some more of my money to the government. And if I was sending money to the government, I got out my checkbook. Yes, checkbook. I am a 90-year-old woman up here. Do not be fooled. And I wrote down the money that I owed the government, stapled it, and sent it back, right? It's a very long process, very arduous. It is fraught with manual potential for error. It has a lot of wasted time and wait times because you're sending it back and forth, right? And there's a lot of things in there that you're already saying, hey, this is automated, right? So income are industry disruptors who I didn't know about at the time, who automate a lot of this process, right? So many of you are probably unfamiliar with the previous way of doing things and have probably already used one of these softwares to accelerate your tax process. So now the process looks something like this. Now it might look more complicated, but really what it is it's more automated. So instead, these software services, they know what kind of forms the government is looking for. They have those as inputs. You can take your W-2. Some employers can send it directly to these services. Other times you just snap a picture and it uses things similar to our document extraction that allows you to get the inputs from these different boxes within your W-2 and input them into the requisite form. And then from there, it's going to do all of the transposing for you. It's going to accelerate this process. And it's got that mixed autonomy that you heard about in the keynote, where humans are in the loop, but they're not participating in those rote tasks of copying things over. They're really there just to double check that the automation has gotten things correct. And then at the end of it, you have integrations with things like your bank to either get a direct deposit back or to send additional money to the government. It has automated these menial tasks and eliminated any rote tasks. It eliminates or limits the potential for human error, and it reduces the overall wait times. So why did I take you on this transformative journey for how I do my taxes? Well, what this represents is really what we are bringing to you in Process Insights. Hopefully some of this might have resonated with you in some of the processes that you might have in your day-to-day job, some of the things that could be accelerated through automation. And what Process Insights is going to do is shine a spotlight on those areas where you can improve and accelerate your businesses. And that's what we're going to tell you about today.
Great. Thanks, Kelsey. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, perfect. So for the remainder of this presentation, we will go through what is Process Insights, what is Process HQ, why you need Process Insights. We'll go through quick examples of data prep and what shape of data we need. We'll go through more in depth what data analysis looks like, and then we'll do a quick wrap up. So what is Process HQ? Well, Process HQ contains two sets of capabilities. The first one being Data Fabric Insights. Data Fabric Insights is aligned to self-service reporting. It was launched originally in 23.4 and is we built capabilities, we've evolved it, we've improved it to now be rebranded as Data Fabric Insights within Process HQ. So this really helps with user reporting use cases to help report and take action on data. Process Insights, on the other hand, is more aligned to process mining. This is really Appian's reimagining of what process mining is, and it's mostly focused on business processes, uncovering insights, inefficiencies, and improving your business process as a whole. So you can think of it more so as business reporting and process improvement. For the remainder of this presentation, we will focus solely on process insights. Before I go too deeply into process insight capabilities, I want to talk about how process mining delivers value overall. First, there are data step things to consider here. You have data within your systems in various shapes and forms, maybe within Appian or in other systems. There is some transformation typically needed to get those into the right logs for process mining. And this is overall how process mining generally works across all vendors. This isn't specific to Appian, just going through a few of the cycles just to lay some groundwork. From there, process mining does a little bit of its magic. It can help generate certain models and KPIs, maybe with a little bit of data science help to measure the right things or segment the right things. And then users can analyze that, they can come to insights, they can then act on those insights, and then they can continuously monitor and improve those measures. And then the cycle repeats. We want it to be a continuous cycle. Maybe you need fresher data, maybe you want to bring in more data. Well, one of the biggest challenges that we've seen with this model as it currently works in the market is there's different personas with different knowledge sets doing different portions of the process. This introduces a lot of friction. Oftentimes you need a data scientist persona to be able to get the data in the right shape, to unify data across your enterprise, to get that into the right shapes for mining, and to do the analysis, to get to the right KPIs, the right measures, the right things. Then a business user with business context helps with finding those insights, acting on it, monitoring, optimize. And then oftentimes the data scientist doesn't have the business context and the business person doesn't have the data science concept. This is really the world of process mining before process insights. What we are looking to do with this is really put all of these capabilities in the hands of business users. With process insights, we are taking the data scientists out of the equation for process mining. This is rather ambitious. There are some areas in the process mining space where there's simplification for certain use cases, maybe like order to cash or purchase to pay, if you're familiar with those. But we recognize that Appian is most valuable for custom bespoke business processes that are very specific to how your business is run. And really, we want to bring this simplification to all processes, any process that you want to mine within Appian or outside of Appian. So how are we doing this? We have a set of strengths that we're leveraging and that we're building with Process Insights. First off, we are able to leverage Appian's data fabric to connect your data across your enterprise. This helps Appian access data where it lives and provides the right set of security so that the right people can mine the right things, can look at the right things, and that we can connect data easily. Furthermore, we are provided guided exploration and analysis for any use case. We are taking the data scientists out of the equation, but we don't want to lose the value of it. So we're going to do the data science steps for you. We're going to help do that so that business users can be able to understand what measures they need to understand for their process. And then Appian also not only can provide the insight, but provides the tools to then make the change, to then improve your process with our platform. So this is really kind of the simplified journey that we will walk through in this presentation for Process Insights. We'll go through what each of these steps looks like, but at a high level first, we'll go through data prep. With our data fabric capabilities, you can prep once and reuse forever. Then we'll go through what segmentation of data looks like to measure things in the right context. We'll go through investigate, insight, and action to be able to investigate inefficiencies and come to an actionable conclusion. And then we'll continuously monitor for improvements.
Awesome. So we'll start things off with data prep. So, did I forget who my audience was? Obviously, you are a bunch of business owners. Why am I telling you about data prep? Well, traditionally, data prep is one of the most expensive investments in process mining, right? Like you have to bring on a bunch of specialists who are going to mine your data and make it available to you. So when we set off on our process insights journey, what we really wanted to establish is how can we reduce the cost of data prep and enable our business owners to be effective with their data, right? You're the ones who understand your data the best. Let's push as much as we can into your hands so that you can get to analysis faster. Let's talk a little bit about those impediments that we've seen with traditional process mining vendors. So one of the main problems are these disparate, disconnected systems, right? You might have multiple different processes or sub-processes that are running as part of your business process and are maintained by different systems. And what you need in order to mine that process is a single event log. It can take a lot of time and money in order to get to that event log because you traditionally have to do a lot of transformation. So this is additional cleansing or algorithms that you need to run to get your data to be available for the process mining software. And in order to get to that point, you're typically hiring some high code expertise or specialists who are going to come in and do those transformations for you. And then in the end, the biggest pain point is that there's no monitoring, right? It's this one-time sunk cost that you say, I just want to understand how my process is working, what the data actually looks like in the wild. And you can get to that point. You can invest all of this time and energy into getting to that single event log to rule them all. But then it's all retrospective. There's no way to continuously monitor it. There's no way to see what it's going to look like in the future. So when we looked at these tasks, we said, okay, we can address some of these big problems. We can reduce the barrier of entry for our business owners. So the difference is data fabric. If there's one thing you take away from this, it's data fabric. You can easily integrate across all of those systems to create a single unified event log, regardless of whether or not it's coming from external systems or your internal Appian applications. You'll have one source of truth that you can use as the source for your processes. Additionally, we've enhanced the end user environment so that your business owners can do the enhancements that they need to the data in order to provide a better experience for your analysts, right? So instead of having somebody with high code expertise or even a low code developer have to go through the entire deployment lifecycle in order to get the advancements that you need for analysis into your production environments, we said, no, we want to put the business owner in the driver's seat. They know what they want out of their data. Let's make it possible for them to enhance their data from the front end for their analysts to then use as part of the analysis experience. Additionally, and very key, continuous monitoring. So since we are sourcing from your data fabric, your processes are staying up to date with your business applications. So as you collect more data over time, you'll see that data update in Process Insights in real time, so you can start to see the trends as they progress, as you make changes to your processes as a result of any insights that you may have found throughout your analysis experience. And then finally, the analyst accessibility. Most of the time when you invest in an additional product or software in order to analyze your business processes, you need extra licenses or additional verifications in order to actually access your data and see those insights that are there. But here, since it's on one unified platform, your analysts can get to your data. They can then work based on whoever you've given permission to actually look at your processes in real time and find those insights. So what does this look like in action? Like I said, we're talking about the data prep. The one thing that I do want to point out on our model here is that you'll see that there is a continuous cycle, but data prep is outside of that. That's because you really only have to prep your data once, and then once it's available in Process Insights, hopefully you'll never have to do it again unless there's an additional transformation that you need from your developers. You prep once, monitor forever. As you can see, the power of data fabric, you might remember this from the keynote this morning. This might be what your systems look like today, right? You have multiple different sub-processes representing a greater business flow, like your order fulfillment, that might have aspects of the process tracked in different systems. Traditionally, it'd be very hard. You'd have to export all of this data from the different systems, create a single unified event log, do those transformations, and then you'd be able to mine. And then once again, that's a one-time sunk cost. You're not going to get continuous value out of that. But with data fabric, we're stitching your systems together so you can continuously monitor this data over time and that you have a single source of truth without having to connect these different systems. And this is what it actually looks like in action. Your business owners are actually looking at the data that your developers have set up and selecting from a catalog of that data in order to accelerate the process insights process. From there, you're actually using the relationships, so the interconnectivity that you've established through your data fabric in order to select what represents your audit log for your particular case data. So you're actually leveraging what your developers have already invested in as part of your business application and reusing it for your processes. Now, I made some grand claims about how you can also enhance your data. So I'm sure you're wondering what that looks like from a business perspective, because I've also said that it's not going to involve any code. So let's take a look at what it looks like to augment your data set so that you can prepare it for analysis. Here you can see I'm in the ad process flow, and that there's a particular column called net worth. Net worth probably contains sensitive information that I don't want to expose to end user analysts. So what I want to do is I want to obfuscate that information by bucketing that information. So I'm going to create what's called a custom field, and I'm going to group the data based on a range. I really want to still be able to get value from this particular set of data. I just don't want the raw data to be exposed to analysts. So I'm going to take that net worth column, and I'm going to say I'm going to group this into 3 buckets. I want to group my net worth field by low, medium, and high net worths, and I'll set thresholds for what constitutes those different buckets. And then I can test out that custom field right in line to make sure that the data appears as expected. Then, once everything looks as expected in terms of bucketing, I can name my custom field, add a description for it, and click OK. You'll then see that this custom field that I've created as an analyst without any code appears right alongside the rest of my data set. And now that I have the information that I need, I can go ahead and deselect the field that I was concerned about from a data sensitivity perspective, but not remove any of the value that I get from having that bucketed net worth field. And that's it. So as you can see, data prep is easy when you're leveraging data fabric. You can source your data from anywhere, whether it's external systems or internal Appian. You can leverage record relationships and the interconnectivity that your developers have already established in order to enhance your data. And then finally, even as a business analyst, you can continue to augment and enhance your data set so it's ready for analysis and provide those trends for your analysts. So this means that instead of hiring a bunch of developers or spending a lot of time in the data prep part of the process insights process, you're spending your time on what's really important, which is analysis.
Great. Thanks, Kelsey. Now let's go through what analysis looks like within Process Insights. First, let me go through a few of the challenges that we've seen in the process mining space. First off, there is oftentimes a question of cost versus value. A story that we've heard a lot from customers is they've done mining projects in the past and maybe they've gotten some results out of it, but it was so much work to get to those outcomes that sometimes they don't feel like that the value outweighs the effort in. A lot of that is because of discoverability complexity. Finding the root cause of what is slowing down your process can feel sometimes like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It requires time, it requires effort, it requires expertise, which is really the next point is, a lot of these process mining projects require specific expertise. It requires process mining knowledge. It requires data science knowledge. And then those people sometimes don't have the business context and they have to work together across silos. Additionally, insights without action oftentimes is a challenge when users find something that they want to improve, but they don't have the tools within the platforms that they're using to be able to improve it. What we're doing with Appian is we're really looking to address every single one of those points. In terms of ease of use and time to value, we're really building in so much within Process Insights to help you get to value quickly. Kelsey went through some of what that looks like for data prep. I'll go through further what that looks through for analysis. We will help provide guided analysis. We don't want data science to be a limitation to getting value out of Process Insights. Therefore, we simplify those concepts to use for business users. And we are designing this for people, for business users who have no expertise in process mining. You don't need to know anything about it to get value out of this. Then with the Appian platform, you can not only find the improvement, but you can implement the improvement. And then you can track the improvement. Then you can report on the improvement, and we help you with that entire cycle. So let's go through a use case here. Let's imagine a scenario. Let's all put ourselves in the shoes where we are a regional branch manager, and we're a regional branch manager of Dunder Mifflin Financial Company. So we're not a paper company. Imagine we're a financial company. Maybe we're a multinational bank, 401ks, retirement, banking, investments, those kind of services. And we have corporate asking us, why are onboarding slow? Why does it take so long to get our customers up and running and and funding their accounts? And we are Michael Scott, and we don't really have any idea to do. But we remember, wait, we use Appian, we have Process Insights. Let's see how Process Insights can maybe help us figure out where onboardings are slow. So after the data has been prepared, Michael is able to come into here, and this is our process summary view within Process Insights. We show a few high-level KPIs that we believe are important about the process, such as how many total onboardings cases there are, what's the average case duration of how long those take, and how many activities do they go through. We also show you a process diagram. This is how your process is behaving today, how it actually is flowing, what steps there are, how long each portion of those steps take, and what steps follow what. This is an actual representation of what's going on. We also give you a few charts, and then we show you what metadata you have, what case attributes you have. Here, Michael can see that there's different account types that we're doing with onboarding. We have individual accounts, joint accounts, and corporate accounts within our data set for mining. That's great context. Next, we're going to look at segmentation. So, as we saw, we have individual accounts, joint accounts, and corporate accounts. But as you can imagine, the onboarding process is probably going to look very different and is expected to be different for corporate accounts versus maybe individual and joint accounts go through a very similar process. Therefore, we want to segment some of those so that we're measuring things in the right context. Let's look at how Process Insights helps with that. Here, we're back in the process summary, and this time we're going to click the little drop down and create a new view. Views are how we segment information within Process Insights. Here we'll go ahead and click next to create a view from scratch, and here we see the account type attribute. We can go ahead and expand this, and here we are filtering. So we're going to go ahead and select individual and joint accounts to create a filter on those. And additionally, we're also going to filter on status for only approved onboarding, so we're not skewing the data with things that are in flight or things that were rejected. We'll go ahead and click next. We don't need to exclude any activities from this filter. And then we'll go ahead and give this view a name. We'll call these retail investors that we want to measure, and we'll go ahead and create the view. And now your whole summary is now updated to measure specifically the retail investors to make sure that you're measuring the right things. Great. So Michael now is able to measure what he wants to measure. Now let's see how we can help Michael investigate, find bottlenecks, come to insights, and come to actions. So here we are back on the view summary of our onboarded retail investors. Now that we're measuring the right thing, let's go and investigate to find bottlenecks, to find where in the process or what is slow within the process. This is our investigation, and this is really where a lot of the magic of Process Insights happens. This is where we take data science concepts and we simplify them for business users to help them pinpoint the root cause of bottlenecks. The first thing that we show are types of onboardings that are slow. We show a ranked list here, and we are able to rank these based on how long these types of cases are taking and how often are they occurring to come up with a potential savings calculation. Here, Michael sees that the biggest cause of higher cycle times are onboardings within Ohio. Those take 1 day, 14 hours slower, and there's 583 of these onboardings throughout the course of the past year. This is interesting, maybe a little bit unexpected, so we'll go ahead and click on this to get more details. As we scroll down, we can see that if we were to speed up all of these onboardings in Ohio to match your overall average case duration, you could save 928 days annually. This is interesting, and we also have a duration comparison to show how onboardings in Ohio compare to other states. We do see that it's significantly longer, and this is interesting to us. So we want to dive further into this to figure out why. Why are onboardings in Ohio taking longer? So we add it to Insight, and on your right-hand side, you see the findings section, you see cases with attribute Ohio. So now we're drilled into the context of onboardings in Ohio. And the next step is we can either see other cases that take even longer within Ohio, or we can see where in the process takes longer within Ohio. We're going to investigate sequences, and we're going to see where in the process takes longer within Ohio. As we click here, we will provide another ranked list suggestion, now showing what things take even longer within Ohio compared to average. The first suggestion that we have shows that there is a step in the process called identity verification, and there is a repetition there. Repetition oftentimes represents rework. Steps are being repeated, usually because they're not being successfully done the first time. We'll open the process diagram to get more information, and here we can see out of the 583 onboardings in Ohio, 289 of them are going through this identity verification repetition. It's a third step in the process, and it's being repeated. This is interesting to us, so let's click on this to explore further. As we click on this, we get more context. And here in the potential savings section, we see that if we were to eliminate this rework, we could save 802 days within the context of Ohio, and that 802 days represents the vast majority of the potential savings of Ohio of 928 days, and this is the root cause of why onboardings in Ohio are taking longer. So we will add that to our insight, and here we've come to something actionable. We come to something we can actually improve. So we'll go ahead and save this. We'll give the insight a name. We'll also create an investigation or save an investigation that's just a collection of insights. We'll save and exit. And here you see a view of what a saved insight looks like. So Michael has been able to find this, and perhaps now we need to figure out how we can improve this. And here, maybe Michael shares this with others, his colleagues, Pam and Jim, and they discover that in Ohio, they recently just released a new version of their driver's license. And the scans that they have to read information from that driver's license is now broken because of the new format, and it's not being successfully completed, so they have to enter it in manually. So the resolution to this is they need to retrain their document extraction model with a new format of Ohio licenses to reduce this kind of rework. We'll go ahead and add that context here to the comments of the saved insight. And then further with this context, we can figure out how much of this can we improve. We can edit certain pieces of a calculation to help justify what we're going to do. We'll go ahead and edit the potential savings here. And maybe it's unrealistic to get rid of this rework 100% of the time. There's going to be edge cases where maybe picture quality is bad, maybe there's glare. But we can realistically get rid of maybe 80% of this rework. Here, we'll put in 80% for the realization rate, and you see the potential savings number update with that context. And really what we're doing here is we're building a business case for change. We're saying if we were to make this change, we would save this many number of days, so it's worthwhile for us to go ahead and make this change. Great. Michael has found one root cause of what's taking longer for onboardings. Let's go back to the summary. I'll walk you through a different example with a different starting point to show you how we use this investigation concept throughout the product to help with findings. We're actually going to start here within the process diagram. And here Michael zooms in maybe to the portion of the process that he feels like is particularly slow. Here we see from a financial documents verified to financial review, this step takes 4.8 days. That's a long time. Maybe that's longer than you would expect. It shows up as red. And here Michael can click on this to get more context here. We give more information, and we show that if this portion of the process could be improved by 25%, they could save about 1,600 days annually off the cycle processing time. This is interesting. Let's see how we can do that. So here we're back within the context of investigation, and this time we're zoomed in, we're focused on that step of the process. And we're gonna look at what kinds of cases take longer within that step of the process. So we'll go ahead and investigate attributes here. And we'll again show a list of recommendations for the top contributors. So here we see that the top suggestion is when Dwight Schrute is a primary representative on an onboarding, this step of the process takes 1 day, 4 hours slower than average. This is interesting. Let's click here to find out more information. As we scroll down, you can see that Dwight takes 6 days to complete this step. Everyone else takes pretty consistently around 4 days, 3 hours. However, you also see by volume, Dwight is taking on more work than everyone else. Maybe Dwight is overeager to pick up these. Maybe he's being overworked. Maybe the coverage in his regions just needs to be redistributed. So here you can see that maybe perhaps we need to redistribute the financial reviews amongst our employees. And the bottleneck is because one person is taking on too much work that they can handle, and therefore they are slower. Let's go ahead and add that to our insight. And now that we've come to something actionable, let's go ahead and save this insight. And this will be saved within the context of our investigation that we had created previously. So within a few minutes, we've helped Michael come to 2 root causes of why onboardings are slower. Here we see both of those insights and the potential savings of a day is represented. This is something that he can share with others within his company, maybe share with corporate, and now we can follow up on these, improve these, and track these improvements over time. All right, let's look at the last step of monitoring these improvements. Process Insights also helps you be able to measure different KPIs. We let you measure pretty much anything within your process. You can count any activities or sequences or any process measure that you have. You can measure SLAs, you can measure duration for portions of your process, or you can have aggregations. You can aggregate data to be able to view. In this example, we'll go ahead and just measure that rework. So we'll create a KPI for sequences. How many times does that sequence go from identity verification to identity verification? That's the rework that we care about measuring. We see a preview of the KPI, and we'll go ahead and create this. Here, we see how 2 separate KPIs that were created would show up within Process Insights, one for verification rework, and the other is financial review duration, the 2 things that we're looking to improve. And now let's fast forward 3 months. Let's say we've made these improvements, we've implemented these changes, and we can track how they look. Here, we see financial review duration has decreased in terms of processing time, and the verification rework has all pretty much been eliminated from our process. And I don't know if you noticed, but the average case duration then therefore dropped by 2 days. Onboardings are now 2 days faster because we made these changes. And now, corporate's happy. We did our job. All right, good job, Michael. And then the last thing is we also have an executive view. This helps maybe VPs or executives be able to just help understand important measures about their process at a glance, such as automation rate, error rate, and cost on a per activity basis. So in summary, for Process Insights, data prep is simple, leveraging Appian Data Fabric. Process Insights helps you uncover impactful insights with no data science or process mining knowledge required. It is built for business users, and we enable you to not only find insights, but continuously monitor important process KPIs. All right, what's next? We are launching a Kickstart program for Process Insights. This is going to be where we can help provide direct help from our product team to customers who are interested in using this as we launch in 24.2. If you're interested in participating in that program, go ahead and scan that QR code. It will just link you to that email. You can then just send an email of who you are, what company you're with, and we can follow up with you there. You can also visit our Process Insights booth to learn more about the offering. And with that, we'll open it up for any questions. Yes.
Ooh, do we have a microphone? I'll be the runner. Thank you. Okay. No, for sure not. You want to just say it to me and I'll repeat it into my mic?
For those diagrams, did you already have these processes?
Okay, so she's asking about the diagrams that we have within the process modeler, whether or not we had to have those mapped out or whether they were already created. When we were pulling from different systems besides Appian. These ones?
That one there, right?
Yeah.
So this diagram is created automatically based on the log information that you bring in. You don't have to specify any of this. This is what process mining identifies based off of the data.
One,
Any other
two.
questions? Oh, now we hear it. Yes, you were the first person I saw, so.
Any real-time alerting capabilities, either now or in the future?
Yeah, great question. Not yet, but that is something that we are actively looking at building over the course of the next few quarters.
Any other questions? Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. You're not supposed to attack your audience. I get it.
On-prem availability for my DoD customers.
Great question. Right now, this is a cloud-only offering.
In the case of your site users, for example, is this only available to those that have like designer view, or is it something like for those executive dashboards, whatnot, that could be available, let's say, on one of your Appian sites?
Yeah, I can take that one. So this, it is secure in terms of like whoever you want to have access can have access to it. So it is separate from design view. You do not have to be in the designers group because we know that this is primarily going to be used in production environments, since you're going to have a very locked down / design. So it does have additional security, like each process you can set individual security for which analysts you want to have access to which process. And then there's additional record type security that you can do in terms of what exposes that particular record type to be used as a process within Process Insights. So it can be used just like, it's a workspace like Tempo or RPA, and it's just whoever has access to that workspace.
Got it. And then, sorry, one follow-up. So then for like each of the different views, so you have like your summary view, your executive dashboard, do those have different security restrictions as well?
We do have different, we have a concept of an analyst and a viewer. So once you have access to a process, you can see everything in it, and then the actions that you can take are dependent on your process level permissions. So if you're an exec, you would probably have viewer permissions. You can see everything, but you can't like start an investigation or anything. Yeah.
Real quick, we'll keep taking questions, but we do also just have, if you could help do us a favor, we do have a process intelligence survey with a QR code here. If you could help us out, just take the survey real quick. We would very much appreciate that.
Oh, I'm so in the way for people taking.
What? Yeah. What other questions do you have?
If that's all it for now, you can also track us down
Yeah, we'll be up
afterwards.
here.
We'll be up here. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thank you.